I want to add another title to what I do.
Is doing something that you believe in when nobody else believes in you.
Things called Ragebait, which was
having your testosterone that low is doing you no good. The money I'm making currently, making sure we're moving forward. I got a 5-year plan.
So I was like, what can I do to be different, you know? And
it's fucking sugar, Horacio.
Yeah.
It happened in 2018?
Yeah.
It happens to...
Dude, oh, come on.
All right, y'all. Doing something a little bit different today. I've always wanted to do a podcast, so we're going to give it a little test run today and see how we do. And, you know, if it goes well, one thing might lead to another, and we might start one. Everybody has a podcast nowadays, but, you know, I feel like we have a lot of experience and a lot of different walks of life, and I think we can bring a lot to the table, and I think people might enjoy it. So yeah. For you guys that don't know, this is my friend Paul Piercy. He is a friend of mine that I've known for quite a long time, but we haven't became closer friends until I moved back up here to Sacramento about 4 years ago. And the last few years, we've gotten a lot closer as friends. And I see him multiple times a week. We work out multiple times a week, and we watch football on the weekends. And looking forward to going to his wedding next year.
Yes, me too.
Maybe I'll be in it. We'll see.
the flower boy.
I met Paul initially because when I moved back up here, I needed somebody to help me with my fan apparel. He had a clothing company, which is blowing up this past year. It's called Be Active. Congratulations to the success you've had this year. It's crazy because I know how long you've been at it. I met Paul in 2015.
First time.
2015 up here in Sacramento, and he had a little company called Brosthetics. You know, he had this little booth, and you're selling these T-shirts that said Brosthetics on it. And I was like, cool.
By the way, do you still have any of those? I would love a shirt that said Brosthetics.
No, but the funny story in 2015, we were at Chris Dim's gym because Jeremy was one of the guest speakers for his gym at the grand opening. And I had my little booth, and I mean, obviously being Filipino, like you got to support the people who are the same, you know? And I was like, dude, this guy's physique is crazy. Was watching all the stuff, the YouTubes, and all out of nowhere. See him pull up. He has his glasses on with a Live Fit hat, straight cut like this. Oh, that's Jeremy Buendia. And I freaking glazed the hell out of him. And I was like, oh my God, Jeremy, like, this is awesome. And then he was like super nice. Was like, yeah, man, go check out Brosthetics. Walked away. Didn't see him after that for I don't even know how many years. But that was like the first experience. And then come 2021, when we started doing clothing, I had to show him again. I was like, what a weird connect. You would never know who you would meet. You never know who you would come in contact with, and especially just even asking a question to see if things would work out. You know, I mean, like you were doing your thing, and I was just that random person that's like, hey, I'm from Sacramento too. I would love to do your clothing, and that's how everything started, from the fan apparel, lifting, going to hanging out, just being like actual close friends versus just being somebody who knows Jeremy or seen Jeremy, which is awesome.
It's cool to see how the relationships evolved. And,
absolutely.
You know, I don't have a lot of people that I hang out with up here. I got to, you know, I probably count them on one hand. I'm very selective now who I surround myself with.
Yeah.
You know, that leads me to Horacio here. I'm sure a lot of you guys have been following for the years have recognized Horacio. He's my best friend from Southern California. I've known Horacio for quite some time too. Pretty much my whole career I met him. We didn't start getting closer until, was it 2016 or 17?
Yeah.
You know, we got back into contact because I was in Huntington Beach. You know, we just slowly, you know, got closer and closer over the years, you know, especially during that time, you know, when I was the Olympia champion. You guys all know I was kind of a head case. I was a head case. And I needed good people in my corner. I didn't have a lot of good people in my corner. But Horacio was always somebody that helped keep me grounded. And, you know, I looked up to him. And I couldn't say that about a lot of people. You know, I was always the front of every group that I was around, I felt like. Or at least that's the way I portrayed myself. But when it came to you, I always stayed very humble around you. Maybe because you're a big 270-pound scary monster. It's so crazy because I remember I was talking to him yesterday about how we were doing, I don't know if you guys saw his video that he did with Paul yesterday on their TikTok. It's got like 2.5 million video views in the past 12 hours.
Ridiculous.
I've known Horacio. I have such a personal relationship. We're so close, and I know how I know his heart, how good of a guy he is, how friendly he is, but I forget how scary he can look. And you know, I didn't remember that until yesterday when you guys did the video and all the comments. But I remember the first time we reconnected I still wasn't very familiar with you. It was when we were at Gold's Gym in 2016 with all the guys. And Joey's 12 was there, and then all the men's physique guys.
Yeah.
And we worked out, and I didn't say much to you. I just thought, damn, this guy looks like he'd rip my head off if he wanted to. And you ended up messaging me later on. You're like, hey, bro, it was really good hanging out with you. I'm like, oh, I thought you didn't like me. For real? I just see we didn't talk at all when we were there. He was quiet and to himself. If you don't know Horacio, he'll stay to himself.
Yeah.
You know, and then he opens up to you, and he's, you know, funny and fucking glazing you hard right now. I wanted to do this podcast with you guys because you're two of my closest friends. We have different experiences. You know, Paul, you're relatively new to the fitness industry. I mean, I wouldn't say new, but more of getting involved in, you know, people personally.
Yeah.
You know, you've met so many big names this year. A lot of people come to me to get connections, and you've never done that. Like you've done what you've done in the past couple of years is pretty incredible with your following, your branding, you know, the connections you've made. I mean, you met people that I haven't even met, you know, it's like,
which is wild. Like,
it's crazy. Like you were over at, you know, Raw with Nick Walker, and was C-Bum there. Mm-hmm. You were just in this tiny little office in Fair Oaks. Nobody knew you. Mm-hmm. And now, you know, what did you blow your YouTube up in like 60,000 followers in the past few months?
Yeah, about 65 right now.
But you just started that. It's crazy. TikTok, you're killing it. So like, if you had to give like your 3 biggest contributing factors to your growth of your brand this past year, what would you say?
Well, first of all is just not be afraid to post. In this industry nowadays, everything's super saturated, you know? And for me, like I'm a newcomer. I don't have a great physique. I don't have information because I'm not as knowledgeable as a lot of people. So I was like, what can I do to be different, you know? And when I started doing the videos, I was like, maybe I'll interrupt somebody and then ask them for if they want to try on some clothes. And from there, it would bring things called Ragebait, which which was crazy because you would have never thought that doing something that would be the exact opposite what you would want to do would actually bring impressions and bring stuff for the company. So the first thing for me is just like, don't be afraid to post what you post, because in the end of the day, all impressions are good impressions. This is how you take it. For me, a lot of people would troll me on lives and stuff like that, but then I would talk about the brand, and then they'd be like, you know, okay, cool, this guy's not what he looks like on there. He does say they're staged, and then maybe I might check in some stuff, you know? 2, for me, is just believe in your product and be passionate about it. Like
basically grasp. You got to find a way of grasping some attention.
Exactly. Because some people, like, imagine this. Imagine having, because I think right now, just between all the videos, I have anywhere from, I think 60 million impressions, 60 million views just on TikTok.
Views, not just impressions.
Yeah, views. Imagine 1% of them seeing stuff and then buying stuff. That's already.
That's like 60,000, right?
Yeah, already.
If I have 1% conversion on any product, you're making a ton of money. So I mean, if you are, I mean, I'm sure you're doing better than that. But you know, people think you see a huge following, oh, they're going to make a whole bunch of money. That's not the case. It's all about how you market and brand. It's something I talk to a lot of my athletes and up and coming people trying to make it in the sport. Is like, it doesn't matter how well you do on stage. If you notice people making money, it's the people that are putting out quality content that have a good rapport with their fan base and their following. You know, you got to get somebody to know you and like you in order to buy your products or have something that provides a lot of value. Winning a bodybuilding show doesn't provide that because it's so saturated. Yeah. So what was your second point?
Second point is believing in your product. You know, you got to be passionate about what you do. I literally started Prosthetics in 2015 when I met Jeremy around that time, and then I had to rebrand in 2018. So five years would be active, 8 years total before I seen any success. And like what Jeremy was touching on, it was $12,000 in gross sales the first year, and now we're anywhere from I think $400,000 to $500,000 just in sales from the skits, the videos, and just posting. Like if I wasn't with Sanjay that day and I didn't post that random video at 10 o'clock in the office for the first interruption video, I don't know what I've been doing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I was at a stalemate in my life too as well, where I was like, if nothing's going to be pushing out for me with this brand, the clothing's already saturated. I need to do something. Yeah. You know, so if I didn't do that, I don't know if I'd even have Be Active right now. So that, like, I can almost say that these interruption videos saved what I could potentially make through Be Active, you know, which is crazy.
And then also your collaborations. You think is that their
oh my point? Gosh.
Is that your third point?
Yeah, you already knew. Yeah. The collaborations and just knowing people and having people in your corner. I guess like you could just kind of mix that into one, you know? I've had a lot of people, actually, no, I haven't had a lot of people. I've had some people who believed before the brand, before it started popping up, before I started the video, like Sanjay and Matt's my athletes manager. Like they took into the brand before because they saw potential. You know what I mean? And then from there, having the connections with those people, and then they're and then having them talk to other people that know people, for example, like Jake.
Yeah, Jake. I mean, Lapman. He's been growing so quickly. I mean, just show 2 weeks ago, and probably 100 million views across the body, but easily 100 million views across the bodybuilding platforms. I mean, he's an amateur bodybuilder. He took third in his show in a regional show. Jake's had a great physique on him. He was just like still 6 weeks out.
Yeah.
But I mean, how many guys at a regional level take third place and get put on every major bodybuilding platform?
Absolutely.
It's insane. It's his personality. It's his content. He's a fitness influencer, but his content isn't even fitness. He's found out what his audience likes. He has a very unique personality. He's outgoing, and he does this goofy shit. And he's it's at first, for me, I was like, who's this big ass buff dude acting a fool? And then it kind of grows on you because you see it's consistent, it's funny.
By the way, he's a phenomenal dancer.
He's a great dancer.
He really is.
That man can twerk.
Bro, I've seen him do a backflip. Like, he does a backflip so high, dude. He can pause in the air, do this movement, and then do the backflip. And Be Active will blow up. We just have to have that enough stock and certain things to go. So all these people here in the corner right now that don't see that Be Active's not like big yet will be big, and they believe in that, which is really cool. So I know not a recipe, but now that I have all these 3 top things to do to help grow Be Active, I know this next fiscal year what to do to really put it to the next level.
It's cool to go ahead.
One thing I want to point out, and something you guys actually hit a point on, is what you guys are doing is incredible, because I've been involved in the fitness industry since I was literally a kid.
Yeah, it's a long time.
And one thing that I've noticed was, we're going to take bodybuilders, right? Going to go compete. Well, a lot of these people, they get into the bodybuilding world. They do okay, or they do really well, but then they get mad at the influencers because they're getting way more traction. But one thing I pointed out to a lot of them was, you're only focused on the competition aspect. So as much time as you invest into that, you've seen a lot of results. And a lot of them like, yeah, absolutely. And I was like, well, they're doing the same thing, except they're focusing on something else. But you're just getting mad at them because they're landing the sponsorships. They're landing the contracts. And now you don't have to depend on a magazine to give you publicity. Like, you build your own platform. That's an incredible thing. That's something that social media and all these social platforms has given, every single one of us. Like, you can be some normal kid and just have some crazy talent. Like Lapman, he's a great dancer. There's a bunch of kids his age that are looking at this and be like, hey, this guy's cool. And what can I do? And look at what you guys have created. And it's such an incredible thing to see. And that's why I tell people, I'm like, you don't have to be the smartest person in the world. You don't have to have the craziest genetics. You don't have to do, anything out of here that it's going to make you stand out. You just do something that you truly believe in. And I think that's incredible, because one of the hardest things in this world is doing something that you believe in when nobody else believes in you. So honestly, mad props to you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
We've been doing this a long time, man. I mean, it's cool to see, I see the excitement that you and Sanjay bring to the table with all this stuff, and your athletes that are coming up. You're 31, but a lot of your guys are a lot younger. They're hungry, and they're exciting. I remember being in my 20s and just trying to build up who I'm going to be and what I'm going to be, and the excitement of that chase. And that's what I was kind of leading. My next point is like the longevity of social media and having a platform. We've seen the rise and fall of so many people. It's how do you, once you get up there and you build that following and you have that platform, how do you maintain it?
Yep.
And how do you stay relevant? And that's something that a lot of people wrestle with. I mean, even myself personally, I've had the rise and fall and having to figure out how to rebuild myself and how to get my platform back and how to be able to manage it and kind of stay where I'm at. I'm not nearly as popular as I once was, but I still have a solid following, and a lot of people still know who I am. I'm still do well for my platform, but it's trying to figure out that sustainability.
Yeah. And
we've had close friends that were huge names and have done the same thing, like Joey Swole, for example. Joey back in 2014, 15, 16, he was with Shreds, and a lot of these young guys that are watching this don't even know what Shreds was. And Shreds was the very first like influencer based brand.
Yeah.
And they dominated for like 2 or 3 years. They had all the biggest names on social media. Like Joey was like the face of it. Paige Hathaway. Yeah. You had Devin Physique. You had,
I think at one point they had the biggest booth in the history of the Olympia.
They came in to, was it 2015 or 16 Olympia? They rolled in and took over Olympia. It was massive. But it's also seeing how that company rose up and a company fell. And, let's talk about Joey. Joey was, he killed it for them. And then then Shreds went under, and Joey kind of laid low for a few years. Mm-hmm. And then, Joey reestablished his platform with this do better, or what's his thing? I'm sorry, Joey. I know what this is. What does he say? Mind your own business. No, mind your own business thing. Yeah. And he started blowing up the last 2 years again with that. And then he started getting into his sauces.
Yep.
And he's sold 50,000 bottles of sauces in the past year. It's just, but that's the thing we're talking about. The longevity of the career, especially as we get older. We start phasing out. How do you do that? Is reinventing yourself and being a good person for one. I've learned my lesson with that. Yeah. We have a huge audience, and people are going to gravitate to your character. You're going to get followed for being hated, or you're going to get followed for being liked. And when you have people that are hating on you, you're not going to sell as much, or make money or monetize as well personally. If it's joking stuff like Ragebait, people can see the humor in it. That's one thing. But when people genuinely don't like you, that's tough.
I even know that in my and with my social media that I will have to eventually change out to something else, because there's no way doing those videos will be sustainable. So my plan would be at least to get to the point to where people can be part of the collaboration instead of doing Ragebait, start to do more collabs with other influencers that have more of a positive side effect or a positive effect,
a smooth transition,
and smoothly transition into it. Because end of the day, in all honesty, I don't want to make Ragebait videos. You know what I mean? It's just a thing that's stuck, and it's a thing that's getting the impressions and views. You know what I mean? So once I can get to that point to where I can get out of it, then I'll be doing that to where it'll be more sustainable to where there's not this douche on TikTok. You know what I mean?
Let's move on to this. How do you feel like social media and clout has affected the way people's views are and their morals, their values, their stances? We were watching a fucking Wes Watson video yesterday of him on stage with a panel of guys, and he's just roasting this other guy who's not into fitness. He's a family man. He's, his morals are, the thing was, that's what's their definition of success.
Yeah.
And Wes Watson was like, having a shit ton of money, driving a Bugatti, and having a six pack. And this guy was not fat guy, but he just didn't work out. He's like, my definition is coming home to my family every day, knowing I worked hard to give them the best life possible and spending time with my kids. And as a father now, I see the value in life completely differently than I did, because I was that mind frame before of chasing all that stuff because of what social media has created of clout chasing and likes and followers, and giving that so much weight is you got to be careful of being able to separate the differences and understanding the true value of life. And I was telling him that guy's got to be miserable, man, to put so much weight and value on those things, to measure his own value based on those things. It's got to be a miserable life when it comes down to it. And he's sitting down and looking at himself in the mirror like he told the other guy, you can't be happy, you have titties. You can't be happy, you're alone. Where's the value? As I gotten older, the value is my relationships, my family, my friends, my relationship with God, spending time with my kids. That's where I'm happiest, but social media has taken a different direction for people, especially I feel young guys that are single, that don't have families or aren't married. They're just chasing this image. What's your stance on that? And have you experienced, people around you besides myself in my late 20s that have fallen into that?
Now that I'm older, I've done a lot of incredible things, to be honest. I just don't go out and publicize it. Because whether it's a big one or a small one, or no matter how much success I have come in my way or how much things I've achieved, it didn't really fulfill me, because once I got it, and I think a lot of people experience it, once you get it, right, you're kind of oh, I got it. But then there's always that, what's next? Yeah. Oh, I want more of it, and you're never fulfilled. Mm-hmm. You can do the same thing with anybody. A guy can be a good looking guy. I mean, all of us have had our fair shares of doing things in our life, women, cars, money, jewelry, clothes, then what? I can make $100 million and I can blow it and probably make it again. But the one thing that I can't get back is my family, my friends. If my mom, my brother, my sister all passed away right now, I can't go buy a new mom, brother, and sister. You know, that's what really changes my perspective. I have nieces and nephews now. Recently engaged. You know, my best friend's back in the picture. And there's nothing in the world that could have given me that fulfillment.
Yeah.
You could have been like, hey, I'll give you this in this house, in this location, this business and that. And I still would have been sitting there thinking to myself, what do I really want? And I think a lot of people go through that now. You know, they're always looking for things to fulfill themselves with that they think is just going to give them a long-term feeling when it's not. And I learned a lot through that by also being around people that have done a lot of stupid things. So if you're smart enough and wise enough to look at what other people are doing and learning from their mistakes, it's going to save you a lot of time from going down a lot of unnecessary seasons.
I think also doing something for doing what you do with a greater purpose than money. I think that's important. You know, I think money will come as you do the right things. God will look after you and provide for you. But I think there's got to be a bigger mission behind just trying to make money. Like for me, like my social media now, you know, I've been a lot more open the past few years because I want people to be able to hear my story, see what I've gone through and take something away from it. You know, whether them learning from, you know, my mistakes of the way I spoke and the things that I've done in the past and how I interacted with people, or it's them hearing my testimony and how I've came back to God and He's helped transform my life. You know, I've had multiple people come up to me, and especially at Olympia, man, I had a lot of people come up to me and say, hey, man, like, you know, I reestablished my relationship with God after, you know, seeing your experience and you talk about it openly. And like, ultimately, that's what our purpose here on earth is it's not to make money and do all those things. It's to love one another and to serve. And I think when we lose sight of that, everything else kind of falls apart, at least for me personally. You know, every time I start living for myself and living for the things start to unravel. But when I stay grounded and understand my purpose, good just comes to you. It really does. So, you know, every day we get up and we work hard, and there's so many distractions in life, especially when you're busy and you're always on the go. I know you are always on the go, but it's to take a step back momentarily or throughout your day and be grateful for the blessings that we do have, and to pause and ground yourself, reconnect yourself to God, and to be grateful for the opportunity to do what you do. And in turn, you're going to work more efficiently. You're going to have more energy. You're going to be happier. You're going to do things with more passion. You're going to treat people better. And that's something that I actively try to do. And I still fall short every single day. But, you know, when I go to bed at night, I pray for these things for God to give me the strength to be able to give me the ability to be grounded throughout the day, to take a pause, to treat people well. And it's gone a long way. You know, that's why I do have the friends that I have. You know, I have my relationships with my friends are so much better. My business relationships are better. People want to work with me again. You know, I went to nationals this past weekend, and it was the best experience I've had at a show my whole entire life.
Really?
It was.
That's awesome.
I've never been treated with so much respect. Never had so many people come with smiles on their faces. You know, that feels good because I really have been working hard at myself to make changes. And I think everybody is starting to see that it's not just an act that I'm putting on for social media like people have thought the first few years. Like, my family and my wife and God have really changed my life. And, you know, going to the show and seeing the relationships that weren't there before start to grow, it makes me feel good because the work's been done and I'm starting to see, you know, how it's all paying off. Mm-hmm. You know, and it was hard to make changes. I think a lot of people struggle to make changes because they really struggle with their own ego. You know, standing in front of the mirror and admitting your flaws and picking yourself apart. It's tough. You know, because we have a lot of pride.
Yeah.
And in order to grow, you have to let your ego go, and you got to be able to see your flaws. Not only see them, but actively have the strength to fix them, because there's a lot of temptation out there, a lot of bad habits. I have a lot of bad habits I've been working on. I fixed a lot of bad habits, but I still have bad habits that I'm trying to improve on, and they're not easy to fix.
Yeah. And
it takes like constant work and constant reminder. And I battle with, you know, conviction all the time of me doing the wrong things. Like, shit, I did it again. Shit, I did it again. You're better than that.
Actually, one cool story I want to point out, and I'll say this: I've been around Jeremy a long time. Gone through a lot of good, gone through a lot of bad. But one of the coolest moments I had with him is when we were sitting in his backyard, and he's like, "Man, you know, I really want to have kids one day." And he was bummed out. If God wants you to have kids, you're gonna have kids. And weeks later, he calls me. I remember I was about to take a nap. And he FaceTimes me and he goes, guess what? And I'm like half asleep. I'm like, what happened? Like, what's going on? He goes, I'm gonna be a dad.
Crazy.
And it's such an incredible thing to witness, because you can really see the change. Before we used to hang out and we'd be deciding what lounge and what club and what bar we were going to go to, right? Now it's, hey, we got to make dinner. He's over here playing with the kids, just.
We're going to Candy Cane Lane tonight. Looking
Yeah.
at Christmas lights.
Yeah.
Pumped. Can't wait. Hot chocolate.
It's an incredible thing. I've watched my brother go through it.
It's awesome. Bailey's in my hot chocolate.
Yeah. Some things don't change. But it truly is an incredible thing to witness, especially when it's somebody really close to you, because you can see the happiness, and it's a different level of happiness. I remember the first time he got his Lambo. I'm like, okay, he's happy. And I remember the day he's like, I need to get rid of this thing. It literally sat in the garage, just like the Jeep.
Really?
Yeah.
You didn't drive it?
Yeah, he didn't drive it. And it goes back to that thing, like when you achieve certain things, like they're not always going to make you as happy as you think they are. And seeing him now with his kids, it's a completely different person.
Yeah, it's a whole different type of happiness. So I'm excited for you guys, because I know both of you. Both of you. I know you guys both. Kids are in the future. Both your ladies, and both of you guys are going to make great dads. I'm excited for that, because anybody that tells me that they're pregnant or about to have a child, I get so excited for them, because it's literally the best thing that's ever going to happen to you. It's a whole different type of love, a whole different type of relationship, and it's just crazier, because like I get closer and closer to my kids every single day. And I'm excited for you guys to be able to experience that, because it's such a blessing, dude. Anybody out there that doesn't want to have kids, it's like we're missing out on so much. Life for me, I feel like didn't start until you have kids. There's a purpose for us here.
Yeah.
There's a purpose, and we have the ability we are trusted by God to give us the ability to raise, another human. It's crazy.
I'm looking forward to it. I got a nephew at home. My mom, he lives with my mom. My brother's son, he just turned 2. And honestly, it's so cool, because I think I was the first one that actually saw him walk. I didn't know that he can walk, or that he wasn't walking. I just saw him walking. And I was in the kitchen of my mom's house one day just making food. And everybody started freaking out. And I was like, oh, I had no idea that he was walking. And it didn't really hit me the way it hit my brother and my sister-in-law. Now he's running, like full-blown sprinting. He's 2 years old. And honestly, it's one of the coolest things. And for a long time, I didn't want kids. I was cool being, either married or single, whatever it is, because, I got my nieces and nephews and stuff. But watching my family go through that experience, watching my brother grow, watching him evolve into a different type of man, it's one of the coolest things, where finally meeting somebody, my fiance, has changed my perspective completely, because it's one of those things where I look and I'm like, man, like I get to have the opportunity to have a kid and be a dad, and go to games and go to events and
ice cream.
Yeah.
Arcade.
Laugh.
You can relive, dude. I bought our Operation.
We've played that for a little
We've been playing that for the past couple of days.
Are you guys still playing it?
Yeah, bro. Dude, for Christmas, dude, she's gonna be 4 in March, so she's getting older now. She's super mature. We have so much fun together. But I'm on Amazon Christmas shopping. I'm like, I want to play with that. I want to play with that. I got us so many toys. I got us fucking awesome army,
her toys?
little army guys. I'm
right?
like,
you're getting you toys. You're not getting her toys. You're getting you toys.
I like Stacy. I'm like, hey, do you think Ella would be cool playing army guys? She's like, yeah, you guys can play that together. I'm like, yes, bought the biggest set.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
She loves to play with me, and I got toys that we can play together. It's important.
Yeah.
It's like I gotta do a better job of staying off my phone, because she hates when I'm on my phone. Like my daughter wants to spend quality time with me, and when I'm like doing something and I'm texting, she gets mad.
She knows.
She knows.
She knows when you're distracted.
See, Sanjay knows.
Yeah.
She's still in Operation too.
She's
She's
smart. Sanjay spent a lot of time with her because he's around me all the time, and you've seen her grow up the past 2 years.
She's a smart kid for how old she is. Like,
yeah,
you would think she's older than she really is.
Yeah. Last night we were playing, and it's funny. I had the card. I pulled one of the cards. I had it this far from her, and she was over here. And it was one of the things on Operation, and she read it, and then started looking for it. And in my head, I'm thinking, like, how did you even see that?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm thinking, I'm like, dude, how old is she?
Yeah.
So
You know, I was like,
we had a family Christmas party last week, and I was at Nationals. So Stacy, and she brought the kids over there to my in-laws' house. And every year, one of her uncles dresses up as Santa Claus, and all the kids sit on his lap and they get a present. Well, Uncle Eddie played Santa Claus this year, and he's got tattoos. So he dressed up in full on Santa Claus suit. All the kids are going to sit on his lap. Ella sits on his lap and like looks at him and like looks at his arm. She's like, Santa doesn't have tattoos. And then she's like kind of questioning him. And then she goes up to her cousin Shelby, which is Eddie's daughter. He goes, where's your dad? She goes, he's outside. She goes, your daddy's not Santa Claus? And then Eddie got changed, came back out, and she was interrogating him the rest of the night.
yeah.
It's like,
That's
where were you?
great.
What were you doing?
That is great.
She's 3.5, man. It's great. So moving on, but you all need to have kids. You don't want kids. It's absolutely incredible.
Now, I have a question for you, Jeremy.
Huh? Transitioning now.
How does it feel to be able to bring your family to your gym?
I haven't brought them there yet. They haven't actually. We got to swing by. And I haven't showed you the location yet either. Have you seen it? Have you?
I know where it's at. I've
You
just
haven't
actually
been
been in it.
I
now.
got the keys now. So no, I'm excited. I mean, my wife and I have been together, 6 years. We've known each other since we were kids, and we dated when had just turned pro. And we actually had I had a personal training business. She worked for me, and we worked out together. She competed. I helped coach her for a few shows. So I mean, we're really into fitness, and back when we first dated, like I told her like my goals for my life, and I told her about me wanting to be Mr. Olympia before I was Mr. Olympia. I told her about wanting to open a gym. I told her, financial goals that I had. And, I pretty much hit everything that I've said I was going to do. And it's crazy because when we got back together, she told me one of her favorite things about me is that whenever I set a goal, I accomplish it. I do what I say I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. And, the gym is just another one of those things that has been a goal of mine. And to see it come to life is I feel very proud and accomplished because, it's not easy opening a gym. I'm not just opening a little small personal training gym. Like this is going to be a full on gym. It costs a lot of money. There's a lot of work goes into it. It's going to be a lot of sweat equity that goes into this gym, especially the first year. And, I'm proud to be able to bring that home to my family. It's something that we've always loved together. Yeah. I'm going to be able to raise my kids in the gym. My kids can be little gym rats. It's also going to be a big accomplishment to what do you do for a living? Yeah. That's one of my least favorite questions. Trying to explain to my grandfather-in-law how
you're an influencer.
Yeah, I hate that so much. Trying to explain to my grandfather-in-law how I make all this money lifting weights. He's just like, you have to be like a drug dealer.
Yeah.
Come home, like he brings home a tatted up, juiced out guy to the Christmas party. Hi, I'm marrying your granddaughter.
Questions.
I have a fucking Lamborghini. It's like,
Who's this fucking
who is this guy? So, I mean, it is one of my least favorite questions. I was 4-time Mr. Olympia. I have a big Instagram following. Like, so I'm products. Like, I'm very proud of what I do. I make a good living, and I'm proud of what I accomplished. But I'm 34 now. Like I want to add another title to what I do. And being a gym owner, a business owner, like that's an accomplishment in itself. And I want to be able to say that. It's one. I know sponsorships aren't going to last forever, and I've experienced losing them before, and it was tough. I'm never going to lose them the way I did before. Like I think I'll have sponsors for a long time, just maybe not in the money I'm making currently, as I'm still young. But as I get relatively young, hairline says otherwise. But hey, if I go to Turkey, I'm probably going to get like an extra 5 years on my contracts. So, but that's what I'm saying. It's just, it gives me more security knowing I'm in more control of my income, especially for the future. So that's one of the biggest things, and the security for my family. Like this past year is all been about getting my finances in order and making sure we're moving forward. I got a 5-year plan, making sure I got a freaking life insurance, bro. Now, if anything happens to me, my family's got a couple $1 million that come to them, which is a huge relief. Like I don't think anything's gonna happen. Pray that it doesn't, but having that peace of mind to know that my wife and kids will be taken care of decently. that feels good. Got my retirement all set up. It's doing well. I've had it for a while, but really understanding how it all works and being able to put a good chunk of money into it. It's like moving. It's crazy that I'm at that point in my life right now where that's where we're at, where, you know, I didn't even think about these things in my 20s at all. You know, it's completely different. My spending is different.
Yeah. I will say, though, one thing I've always admired about Jeremy was that he was always financially aware. And what I meant by aware was, even back then, man, like when we were in our early 20s, mid 20s, and even like going into our 30s, I'm going to say he was the only person at that age that was always like, I got to make sure I'm making this much. I got to make sure I'm putting this much away. I got to make sure I'm doing this. And like, you know, and the cool thing about it, that he was still going out and taking care of himself and buying whatever he wanted, right? But he was always aware of that. And that actually showed me a lot because, you know, I grew up getting into this sport and I've been around a lot of successful people. But the one thing that led me away from bodybuilding was that a lot of guys that I was around, they weren't financially responsible. And that scared me. You know, my parents are foreigners. They came from Mexico. I was born and raised here in Orange County. And so my dad was always, you know, drilling me and my brother, hey, make sure you're financially afloat. Make sure you buy a house. Like, make sure there's that. That was coming from a person who came from nothing. And I didn't understand until I got older. Luckily, I didn't have like a stupid spending habit or whatever it is. But it was one of those things I really paid attention to. And like watching you succeed and, you know, win the titles and grow was one of those things where I was like, man, this, like, he really has it down. You know, it might not have seemed like that because he was young, but I mean, when you're young, man, and you don't come from making that type of money or your parents making that type of money and that lifestyle, then what do you expect from somebody? You know, that what you expect is what you saw him doing, because we all probably would have done that. Like, oh, I can go buy this now. Like, I don't have to budget myself to buy this. It's a completely different lifestyle, but you have to learn from it. And I'm pretty sure everything you've gone through and everything you've done and the spending and all these things, sitting back now, you sit there and you're like, now I have a family. Now I have a house. And dude, as you get older, you got a house, you got insurance, you got cars, you got car insurance, you got groceries, you got a baby, you got formula. Those aren't things you think about until it starts happening. And watching you and watching even people, even some of my friends, like, prepare themselves for it. And I think that's one of the most important things. And one of the biggest things that I've seen you do, you've always prepared yourself for it.
Yeah. My parents taught me that. My parents always were very frugal with their money, but they're also always ready for something to happen. Like my parents will always be okay. We never lived glamorously, but my parents are always going to be solid. To the point right now where they got a lot of money, they still don't think they have money. Yeah. Like, take the money and go vacation. You guys are getting older. Don't worry about leaving me anything. My brother's going to be fine too. Like, go enjoy life. Go vacation. Go away. Go have fun. Yeah. They deserve it, man. Very fortunate to still have my parents, man. Like, it really is. They've taught me a lot, and it's crazy because the older I get, the more and more I appreciate them. You know, we don't appreciate them when we're young. Yeah. I had a terrible relationship with my parents in my 20s. You know, it's the past few years has been great being back up here and like growing up and being able to spend quality time with them. They ain't gonna be here forever. I know you lost your dad not too long ago. Yeah, a couple years ago. Yeah, and we just gotta be. It's inevitable. Oh yeah, you know, and it's part of life. But we do gotta make sure, especially as we get older, to value and appreciate that time as much as we can.
Yeah, Paul, going into 2025, you know, the year's coming up. And it flew by. I feel like it flew by fast.
So fast.
What are your plans? What are your plans for yourself? What are your plans for your business? What are your plans?
I heard he wants to hop on a cycle.
Oh boy.
So Paul's been getting after it, bro. Okay, me and Paul, we train regularly together.
Some gym candy.
Hey,
some gym candy.
Boy.
Big things coming. Big things coming. Small packages. But no, Paul's been training hard, dude. He's packed on some good size. This guy's strong, dude. He hit the 110s on incline, right? Yeah. Yeah, dude. Like 165 pounds now.
162. I wish I was
162.
Boy.
I got 280 on bench the other day.
There you go.
Solid, man.
There you go.
Solid.
With Sanjay witnessed.
But, you know.
It was a grind. It was fun.
You know, Paul has had some curiosity as of late to dabble into the extracurriculars. And
Some
you
extra
know, and
credit.
it's been
All right.
you know, it's been a kind of a topic we've been bouncing back and forth. And you know, obviously with my experience and knowledge, I've been trying to, you know, coach him up on the pros and cons of things. And you know, one of the biggest considerations that we've been bouncing off is the fact that he does want to have kids. You know, relatively not too far from now.
Yeah.
You know, he wants to start trying, and you know, that's something he's been wrestling with. So, you know, for his initial cycle, like, you know, I suggested, you know, a TRT. You know, he doesn't need to get on a bunch of stuff to start. His receptors are fresh. His testosterone is low. What was your T levels at?
386.
So that's relatively low. And you know,
Okay.
if you were to go to your general practitioner, they're going to tell you you're healthy because the normal range is what 200 to 850.
They consider me obese, so there you
So
go.
Oh, they put me as like
Yeah,
heavyweight
me
doing
too.
Yeah,
He's like,
But-
my doctor was like, hey, you should really suggest losing weight, and I'm like,
what? Where?
All
How?
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that.
As a male in your early 30s that's training hard, working as much as you are, having your testosterone that low is doing you no good. You know, you're not going to be operating at your most efficient level. There's no reason why you couldn't get put on some TRT and get yourself up to the 800 to the 1,000 range.
Mhm.
Where you're going to be feeling better, energy's going to be better, sleep's going to be better, strength is going to be better, recovery is going to be better, sex drive is going to be better. Those are the things that are going to, you know, help elevate you. And being someone that's never taken anything, just TRT dosage, you're going to see your body really start to grow. You know, in conjunction with that, I said maybe some Anavar you can throw in. Anavar is a real mild anabolic that's probably has the least amount of side
Yeah,
effects.
that's why women use it.
Relatively safe. And all this stuff you can get prescribed to you from Transcend. Like you can get a prescription for it. Like there's no reason to go get it off the streets when we got resources like the telehealth companies.
Yeah.
So if you guys are interested, I got a link in the below for you. But you know, what's your stance on him hopping on a low dose testosterone with the sights of potentially having kids? How risky is that for him?
Okay, so from experience of taking gear, since I was pretty much 17, 18 years old, my chances of having kids weren't as bad as I thought they were. But one thing that I can point out that a lot of people don't do, like me and Jeremy and I, we actually work with companies who watch out for our health. We get blood work done, you know, and then before we even take anything, we have to address whatever issues we got going on. So there are safe ways of doing stuff. You know, you don't have to blast. You're not trying to be, you know, some top pro bodybuilder where they're taking large amounts of testosterone. It's like, no, you're basically taking it for maintenance because it's not just about going to the gym and, you know, looking jacked and juiced out. It's for health purposes. You know, as you get older, your testosterone is going to start dropping. And then everything else you do is also going to plummet. And most guys, you know, even guys our age, you know, who have kids or don't have kids, when you're tired, fatigued, you have no sex drive, you start to gain weight really fast, you're getting either angry or emotional. A lot of people don't realize that that's all an imbalance of hormones. And there's nobody out there who's really pointing out these things where it's like, hey, maybe you should go get your blood work done. Yeah. Get an idea of
maybe
where you
you
actually
don't need
stand.
the antidepressants. Maybe you need testosterone.
Yeah, and then that goes for like a clear view for people to understand that. Make sure you're okay before you do something.
Yeah.
And that right there is going to give you an idea of like, okay, this is where I'm at. These are my numbers. Like, how much do I really have to take? I don't have to take a full CC. I don't have to take 250 milligrams, 300 milligrams, whatever most people are taking that are going to tell you to take something. Go see someone like Transcend, you know, down where I work, where I'm at, I work with Everwell. And before I even take anything, when I run a cycle, because I get off completely, I always check my numbers, check your numbers. You're the only one that's going to deal with the side effects. Yeah. And you do not want to deal with those side effects. So for a lot of you lung guys out there who are, you know, blasting themselves thinking like, oh, it's cool because you see a social media influencer talking about how cool Trent is and that. Hey, don't get me wrong. When you're getting ready for a show and you take a substance like that, yes, I understand why they like it so much because of the way it makes you feel, the way it makes you look. But it's one of the worst substances for you.
Do you know anything about SARMs?
Yeah.
So I had a client recently, you know, get his blood work done. His liver enzymes are off. His triglycerides are off. I was like, what the hell? Like, I was like, were you on a cycle or something? He goes, no. I was like, what did you take? He goes, oh, I took some SARMs. I personally don't know anything about SARMs. The only thing I've ever used was just testosterone. I've recently or not testosterone, but other anabolics that have been around for a while that have been researched and studied. So I know the pros and cons and the side effects. It's not going to be some guess because they're new. And then I just recently started using peptides the last few years. But SARMs are different. What's the difference between a SARM and a peptide, and why are SARMs so bad for the body?
Here's the thing about the black market. If you walk into a nutrition store, and this is coming from my business, my side of the business, where I'm involved in the manufacturing of supplements, not just supplements. We do healthcare, we do pharmaceutical products. Most of these things aren't being manufactured by a facility. They're literally being made in somebody's house. And it's not hard. You literally just order powders. And most of the times, what people are doing to these caps, because they come in caps, is that they're just using whatever filler they want. And they can be anywhere from creatine to protein powder to BCAAs just because they want to fill up the capsule. But the ratio or flour, the ratio is going to be really inconsistent.
Sugar. Remember my Anavar pills?
Yeah.
Huh. Side note, I was 2018 Olympia. I was like 8 weeks out and I wasn't getting leaner. I started my Anavar like 10 weeks out and wasn't getting any leaner. And I was like, dude, this Anavar's not fucking working. And he comes over and I was like, let me just pop under the cap and see what's inside. I open it and pour it out. I'm like, that doesn't look like Anavar. That kind of looks like table sugar.
Yeah.
It's fucking sugar, Horacio.
Yeah.
That happened in 2018?
Yeah.
It happens to a lot of people.
So yeah, go
That's
on to your
crazy.
story.
Happens
Careful
to a lot
with
of
shit.
people. So some of these SARMs that people are coming out with, like, think about it, man. Like you can't go to like a hormone clinic and be like, oh, let me get this SARM. There's a reason why they don't carry these things. Like I work with everyone and I hear some of these stories. And some of these people, especially like the younger generation, we're talking about kids who are just walking into these nutrition stores that are selling these pro hormones or these SARMs, like take these. They have no idea what's in them. And it's usually a anabolic steroid. But they can't label that. So you don't even know if you're taking D-ball, Anadrol, Superdrol. You don't know anything because you can't just walk into another place and be like, hey, can you test this product? And the side effects from receiving something is if you take testosterone and you get your hormones checked and you're like, okay, my estrogen's a little elevated, then you know how much Arimidex and Novadex you can take, right? You can
Estrogen blockers. Gotcha.
You can gauge it, you can control it. You have no idea what you're doing when you're taking all these substances that are literally unknown, which is why a lot of the top coaches don't recommend them because nobody knows what's in them. Nobody's going to come out and really tell you the truth because what they're trying to do is you can get that bottle labeled, packaged up for about like $2 and you're going to sell it for $80 and $90.
You're in the wrong business, bud.
That's crazy. And I would, yeah. What a crazy cost margin, right?
Dude, there was a guy out here back in the day. He was bottling up 19 orange dross of 4,9 Dion, dude. And he was slanging this stuff out of the supplement stores. This guy, next thing you know, like 2 years later, he's got his mansion. He's got to drive a Ferrari. But dude, everybody was on Trent Extreme. It was after American Cellular. This guy knocked off American Cellular Labs. Dude, this stuff was crazy. And he was selling to everybody.
Dude, I took
the high
that
school down the street, all the fucking kids, their junior and senior years, were full-grown men, like just yoked. I remember this guy, Eddie Thomas, 240 pounds, like 6 foot. I saw him walk in the gym. This guy's stacked. I'm like, damn, I want to look like that guy. He's like, how old are you? I said it to him. He's like, 15. I was like, wait, what? And he was benching like 450, like 15, 16 years old. He was on a bunch of Trent Extreme.
Yeah, I took it because I worked at a nutrition store.
And it got banned?
Yeah.
It was D-ball.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a 19 Nor, so it's a Trent ester, an ester of Trent, right?
Whatever the
Or a
fuck it
derivative of
was,
Tren.
I took it, and my parents are like, you're taking steroids.
Dude, my bench would go.
I'm like, nah.
My nipples were like throbbing.
Ew.
Fucking, I can milk my dude. Just that's gross.
Yeah, I'm Hispanic, bro. So imagine like your parents looking at me
Strong, bro. But those things, dude, you couldn't touch my nipples. My
like,
my
I'm on
shirt,
this.
just touching my nipple, dude, would put me down.
Well, it's funny. You said all of this, like the SARM stuff happening. And it's funny because not so much of a confession, but, because I'm not knowledgeable, but in 2015, early 2015, I think. Or was it
natty.
I took SARMs because I didn't know what it was. But here's the thing: when you guys are talking about SARMs and me not knowing what it is, because I wasn't knowledgeable, I was just somebody trying to lift and get jacked. I might have been taking steroids or sugar pills. I don't even know what I was taking. You know what I mean? Like I could see veins everywhere. It felt like it was, but at the same time, it could have been. It could have been something, but all I know is like, Paul, here's $150 and has this, and this, and I'm like, oh, if it's in my mind is like, oh, if it's expensive, it works. You know what I mean? So then it'd be like that, but then maybe I'm thinking in my head too, it could have been a placebo. If I were to do anything with, sorry, there's a squirrel right there.
Really?
Yeah, sorry.
Really? Wow.
There's a squirrel. Sorry, but
The OCD is showing.
Wow.
see, it looks right there. Look. It's on the pole. It's just hanging around.
Or no, the ADHD is showing.
Sorry, ADHD.
Wow. He really just did that.
stopped
Reel
and
it
said
in,
squirrel.
guys. Reel it back in, you guys. Hey, I'm the comedic relief.
Talking about losing a train of thought. Don't take Paul anywhere. He's going to get lost.
Hey, I gotta be comedic humor, bro. Anyways, though. But I trust you guys. On the 100% real, I trust you guys. That's why I trust your guys' knowledge to take it. Otherwise, if I didn't have anybody, I wouldn't even think about it.
Don't just trust us. You need to find a doctor. Doctor.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I
This isn't going to be a drawer with the bottle.
But
Take this.
Obviously, even the most elite that are smart, that have a head on their shoulders, that want to take care of themselves, are using doctor's care. It matters big time. So, yeah, that's yeah,
Real quick, one thing I want to touch base on: future plans. Like, what are your future plans with the gym? What is that you're bringing in? Type of equipment. People want to know, like, what kind of atmosphere is it going to be? You know,
the gym is 7,000 square feet. The gym floors will be approximately 5,000 square feet. So that's a big gym floor.
Yeah.
For those of you guys that can't put an image in your head what 5,000 square feet is, it's good size. I have about 70 pieces of equipment in there. I'm working exclusively with Scalecore. They're an equipment company based out of Miami. I've been selling equipment and helping design equipment for them since the beginning of the year. So we're up and coming. We're starting to get in more and more gyms. We put a bunch of pieces in Gold's Gym in North Carolinas. We're in a couple EOSs. Mm-hmm. We're in powerhouse gyms all over the world now. We have some really good equipment. And, this area has lacked a bodybuilding community. There's a lot of competitors up here, but they don't congregate and come together. Whereas the other gyms I've been to around the country, in Texas and Miami and in SoCal, there's a better gym environment. There's a community.
No gym in SoCal.
Not anymore. There used to be. So that was a lot of fun for me growing up in the sport, was that camaraderie, that excitement to go to the gym and see other competitors there. It pushed me. It made the sport and doing it more fun. I've told you that there's a lack of energy at a lot of these gyms. That's why I went to Denver and prep last year, because I needed to be around it. Yeah. It elevates you, and there's a little bit of competition around, it makes you train harder when you see somebody else training hard next to you. Nobody trains as hard as I do around here. Yeah. But when I go to SoCal, or when I did go to SoCal, to bodybuilding gyms, everybody's training hard. And it's fun. This area lacks a gym that has, an area for people to chill and congregate, build relationships, and build the brand up. I want Stoic to not just be a gym, but, we're going to make a brand. I want people to be a part of Stoic. And, as we grow towards the opening of the gym, I'm going to start, talk about our mission statement with the gym and what Stoic means to me and what I want Stoic to mean to the people that become members and, fans and followers of the brand. The gym is going to have a recovery area, infrared sauna and cold plunge. I'm going to have about 9 pieces of cardio equipment. I want people to lifters in my gym. Yeah. It's not going to be just bodybuilders. I want people of all walks of fitness to come in there. It's going to be a friendly environment. Most bodybuilders are friendly as it is. We accept a lot of people, whether you're beginning or not, whether you're overweight, skinny, or whatever. Come in, train, we'll help you out. As long as you're serious and you want to be in there to make yourself better, that's what matters. Not coming in there and dicking around. And, I'm thinking about making the gym 18 plus. Just because, a lot of kids don't take it as seriously. I don't want kids coming in, hanging out after high school gets out. The boyfriend and the girlfriend can't hang out at home and kiss in front of the parents. So they're sitting on my couch in my community kissing. It happened at Jack Culture, last year. I was like, you guys got to stop making out in the middle of the gym floor. Like, I'm trying to train here. Yeah. I don't want that environment. I'm 200-pound dumbbells. 5 pounds and 200-pound dumbbells. It'd be like the heaviest dumbbells in the area. Got a pair of 300-pound platinum chrome dumbbells coming in.
Sign a waiver before you touch it.
Exactly. I have like 13, 14 pieces of plate-loaded leg equipment coming in. I got some really unique pieces, and I'm supposed to have a phone call later today about these new pieces we have coming in. We've created the old flex leverage pieces. So for those of you guys that don't know about those, they were 90s when those came out.
Yeah.
They were incredible pieces of machine. They feel great. So we've actually found a manufacturer that can help remake those, and we tweaked them obviously a little bit, but phenomenal pieces. And, I just want to bring that to this area. I think it's going to be successful. I know a lot of people are excited about it. And, I think Stoic's going to be the Mecca of Northern California. It's going to be the spot. So
awesome.
May 2025, you will see all of us there at the grand opening. Jay Cutler, you did tell me you were coming. So we're going to hold him to that. Hopefully you can make it. I love you, Jay. But Joey Swole said he's going to come out.
Joey's coming.
There's a handful of guys that want to come out. So we're going to have a really good grand opening. It's going to be a lot of fun. My buddy Troy's going to come DJ it. We'll have food vendors and stuff. I got to check in with the landlord and see how big we can make this, because, it's a really busy shopping center. I'm 2 doors down. I'm 2 doors down from Trader Joe's to a natural food store that's super busy. So it's a great location. But yeah, man, first podcast down. I'm glad Horacio came in town to visit the family for a few days. He's flying out tomorrow night. You guys will be seeing more of him. I'm trying to convince him to move up once the gym gets open, which I think he probably will, because he's not going to. He's not going to want to be away.
Speaking it into the universe.
Yeah. I'm thinking about it.
With you guys, ever seen it? Just absolutely just straight up.
You're gonna see Paul like he's gonna be the biggest guy at the table next time.
I was like, what's up, guys? How you doing?
But yeah, man. Shout out to my sponsors, Jet Fuel GAT. You guys can pick up your jet fuels at Vitamin Shop. Shout out to VQ. We have a huge end of the year sale going on right now. Paul, I'm sure you guys are going to be restocking soon for Be Active. So you guys show him some love as well. Father Sons, thank you guys. Transcend, those products I talked about, getting your blood work done, testosterone, peptides, getting a doctor's assistance. You guys can do all that. Link will be below for you guys. And Flex Pro Meals, thank you guys. Let me know what you think about this podcast in the comments. And if you want to see us do these again, and if you do, what guests you want to see. See y'all next time.
Peace.